Your Excellencies, dear friends. It is my honor to address this conference and would like to thank you for the opportunity. Over the past months, the focus in the region is mainly on Macedonia because of the name issue agreement with Greece. As you are all aware, Macedonia is looking for membership to NATO and EU, and we think that for all regions, including Macedonia, there is no other valuable alternative from political, economical, social, and cultural aspect. We are part of same family and civilization, and we should continue to be part of it. As you are all aware, Macedonia is facing the most unique problem in Europe, where its neighbor is asking to rename itself, as well as the national identity of the majority of the population. This request is in contrast with all declarations for freedom of expression, basic human rights and dignity. However, Greece is using its membership in EU and NATO as a tool to block Macedonia's future in these organizations. We as a country are obliged to negotiate about something that any other nation probably would never do so. But because of the firm and strong position of Greece, of practical blocking and blackmail, we are stuck in the process of membership into NATO and EU. As you know, Macedonia passed deep political crisis over the past years, and one legitimate government was replaced by the current government, using many in politics not allowed methods or methods on the very edge of it. Many were saying that one of the reasons why it is happening in Macedonia was to get a government in power that will be able and will be more flexible and will deliver on the name issue. Most probably it is true. The values of Europe were put aside for so-called bigger goal. But the question that rises now is, what is the benefit of a government that has no support of the people and signs an agreement that is bad and cannot be accepted by the people? The silent majority on the recent referendum that decided by passive resistance to stay home and not to vote gave a strong message to all that always is better to negotiate longer and deliver something good than to do it fast and deliver bad agreement that people will not accept. Many mistakes were done for us to end up here. There have been at least 4 major events and errors by the government that I want to list. That is the abuse of the problem for domestic political points and personal interests. Second, the opposition, we were completely excluded from the process. Third is the leaving of the framework of negotiations in the auspices of the United Nations. And fourth, the acceptance of the change of constitution. I will try very short to explain each of it. The government came with a lot of promises, mainly in the areas of rule of law, fight against corruption and economy. These stories were heard here and these stories were accepted everywhere. Unfortunately, the reality is completely different. The abuse of power rises, and the families of the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister are the ones that control much of the business in the country in the moment, unfortunately. The facts are clear. According to the corruption perception by Transparency International, Macedonia is in this moment is on 107th place. 107th place. Compared only with 2 years ago in 2015, when the country was 66th. That was a bad result as well, and I was hoping that we will work for a better result. But this government managed to put the country down for 41 places only in 2 years on perception of corruption. The economy is the same story. From a country with the biggest growth in the region, we ended up with a poor growth of only 1.6%. There is decrease in all sectors. For example, construction is 30% down only for 1 year. And the capital investments from the budget are realized only 23% for 10 months. The public debt goes up to more than 50% now. For all this, the government is not speaking. They speak only for the name issue as an excuse for all mistakes and all failures they have. Second, as I mentioned, is the opposition and its role in it, our role. We were completely excluded. The government decided to negotiate alone. One can say it's a political decision, and I will agree. But the government signed an agreement that without VMRO-DPMNE cannot be implemented. We tried to be constructive in all process, asking for info, and we almost never get it. giving proposals that were never taken seriously. When the referendum was discussed, we proposed the content of the question. We proposed two separate questions. First, do you agree Macedonia to join EU? And second, do you agree with the agreement between Macedonia and Greece? That way people could answer freely on both. The question that the government put on the referendum was misleading and one of the key reasons why people decided to stay home and did not vote. Our proposals were rejected. The campaign on the referendum was done in polarized atmosphere with main goal to shut down the opposition. More than 300 people from the opposition are under attack from the government and the court system that is in their hands. Many cases were fabricated for this goal. The best proof for this is a statement of the Prime Minister yesterday on the opening of the debate in the Parliament saying that he is ready for amnesty only and if the MPs would vote for the constitutional changes. So he is using the cases as a bargaining chip in his hands. Because of all of this, the referendum failed. So not because of VMRO-DPMNE will, but the will of the people that are against this agreement. VMRO-DPMNE tried to help, and that is why no one should blame us, because the blame should go on some other sides. When one is over-promising and then is not delivering, it is not the fault to the ones that promise nothing. Third mistake is abandoning of the framework of negotiations in the United Nations. United Nations is a mechanism that helps smaller states, such we are, in order to protect themselves from larger ones. It is not by chance that the mechanism was set up, and it was not by chance that the UN Secretary General had his own special envoy. The day when the government decided to abandon these principles and started direct negotiations, first between the foreign ministers, then between the prime ministers, was the day when Macedonia lost its name, and Macedonians lost their identity. After all, it was just a technique. Those days we were loud and called throughout the media that it should not be done, predicting what will happen. But unfortunately, the government did not follow again. And the last one, the acceptance of the change of the constitution was the red line that no government before was ready to do, and was the red line that polarized the people, that make people angry, and was the red line that practically gave the result of the referendum that we have in the moment to fail. We must not forget also that the government used massive staff balloting, more than total 3.5% or around 10% of the votes were staff ballot. The simple mathematics is saying that there are voting places where people voted for 2.4 seconds or 5 seconds or 9 seconds. It's not possible. We asked for an inquiry committee in the parliament and prosecutors to investigate this, but the government rejected, which is saying they have something to hide. Now in the end we must face the reality. Macedonia has European future and we believe in that. We know that it leads throughout an agreement with Greece. But we must be real. Agreement must be one that can be accepted by the people of Macedonia. That is why VMRO-DPMNE believes that when we will have the chance to lead the government, we will be able to reach better agreement with Greece. Agreement that will be more balanced and more in favor of Macedonia too, not only in favor of Greece. This agreement must face the reality and the citizens to be able to live with it. Greece, I am aware, would engage into finding a better agreement because it is of their interest as well to have a stable region and to have agreement that can pass and can be accepted. Agreement that respects the rights of all citizens to have their own country and their own identity. That is the agreement that can pass and be of benefit of all. In the meantime, we must focus on domestic work, fight against corruption, rule of law, and better economy are know-how connected with the name issue, but with the work of the government that is not delivering in the moment. And in the end, I must say, I am happy from what I've heard from President Weber. If we get a chance in the European Union to change the system of voting, maybe it will solve a lot of problems that we are facing in the moment. Anyhow, that doesn't mean that we should continue engaging into finding a better agreement with Greece, as I said. Thank you very much.